Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope our listeners are doing fine. This is a new episode that you guys liked last time with Julia. It was like the differences between the USA and Gerba, but this is specific, let's say Tunisia in general. So today we have Stephanie with us. She's a foreigner living here in Gerba. And we're gonna know more about her as usual, and we're gonna ask her a few questions. It's gonna be a little bit different than what I have asked Julia last time, so that I don't feel like it's being repetitive. So I'm not gonna dig deeper into the introduction, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. One more time, welcome to my home, into my room, to be specific.
So fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me too. So can you please introduce yourself to us?
Yeah. So I'm Stephanie, and when I lived in America, I was a therapist or a social worker. I helped do counseling, but also helped children and families who were in foster care. Mm-hmm. So children whose parents were taken away from them if they were abused or neglected, things like that. I really enjoyed it. But here, I'm just a wife and a mom. I have 3 girls, and I love it.
So you couldn't practice the same thing, I guess, like here in Gerba?
Well, I feel like because I am a therapist, that my responsibility is to be able to fully be able to explain myself, especially if somebody has thoughts of suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
I really need to know the Arabic and the French to be able to explain that. And so for me, at least I can help neighbors or friends if they have depression or anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay since my husband works. I don't have to.
Yeah. But would you love to?
I think maybe in the future. I still need to work on my Arabic. I think some therapeutic words are in Fusha as well. So I need to continue with that vocabulary.
Anyway, there are a lot of teenagers now teenagers and young adults actually, who talk English. So if anyone here probably wants help, if one day she wants to do that, I can guys give you her contact if she wants to. But yeah, let's try to, motivate her to go back to her field, since she used to love doing that. Yeah, so, okay, how did you come here, Stephanie?
Well, first, our family lived in Morocco.
Okay.
It started all the way when I was a teenager. Okay. When I was a teenager, I told my mom that I am going to live overseas.
Okay.
And she's like, what? Why would you want to do that? A lot of Americans think that they're going to live in America forever and stay in the same city, stay in the same place. It's comfortable, especially where I come from is California. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've heard of the OC, Orange County.
Yes.
It's famous for being comfortable and having everything. And so I told my parents, I'm going to live overseas. And they're like, what? Why would you want to do that? And I think because I'm Asian American, Chinese American, our families think that their children will become doctors or, things that are make money, right? Yeah, stereotype of a Chinese person, right? And so they thought, oh, no. Maybe it's just some kind of teenage feeling.
Yes.
And then when I was in college, I'm like, no, I think I'm supposed to be overseas. I think I want to go to Africa. And they're like, what? You want to go to Africa? You don't know anything about Africa. So I'm like, actually, I think I need to go to Kenya. So it's one of those youth type things. They're like, oh, no. And then I did go to Kenya to help some children. Mm-hmm. It was a nonprofit organization. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I felt like I was at home.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I need to get more education, not just undergrad. But I was like, I need to go get my master's or something. So as I had started doing some things with social work and therapy and counseling, I was like, okay, I actually do know that I'm going to move overseas. I want to help children and families. But in my mind, I was thinking more East Africa, not North Africa.
Yeah.
And then I met my husband, who also was like, he wanted to move overseas too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of different. And so we thought, okay, we would like to move overseas, maybe before our children. We ended up having 2 first. It took a little bit longer, and we moved to Morocco.
Oh, okay.
After, I think it was 3 years, my husband got a call from a friend and said, hey, would you like to come join me? We have a agence de voyage here in Jerba. Would you like to join me? And he's like, oh, that sounds great. So our family came to visit, and it was like, oh, this is like California. There's not exactly, but there's the beach and there's palm trees. And I'm like, oh, this is great. We used to live landlocked. So how I can rest and how I can relax is being by the beach. So I went, as we came to visit Jerba just for a week, I was thinking, oh, this is amazing. Like, we can move here.
Great. So decision was made in a week.
It was a process. We talked about it first.
Yeah, but when you came, it means it got way better.
Yeah, it felt like, okay, this is what is meant to be.
Okay. And how much did it take you to move and everything?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It was a process. I don't remember.
During COVID? Because a lot
it was people... It was before COVID.
Oh, okay.
We actually came the May 2019, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was during Ramadan.
Okay.
And then maybe half a year later, COVID hit.
Yes,
which was pretty hard.
Yeah. Especially you being away from your family.
Yeah.
And it's like the first time. And
yeah.
It's a bit challenging, but I have realized that when I talk to Julia and like other people that I didn't like invite yet, they told me that they came exactly with COVID or before exactly a little bit from COVID. And I have realized that it was a tough experience to everyone, but it's a shared experience.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys like all met at the same time or it wasn't. A lot of like people told me that they have met in church. So I don't know if it's the same with you, but I have realized that the community here that came, because for our listeners who don't know, I have known Stephanie from other American friends, and it's like a circle. I have got to know a lot of Americans from the same circle, so I asked them how did they meet, and most of them told me in church. So this is why I'm talking about this right now. So I guess the fact that you guys have met here, it made it so much easier because you didn't feel ignored from society, especially with all the differences. So you have so many shared memories and experience, and I think that made it so much better and so much easier, right?
It was so helpful, I think, because we only had half a year to get acclimated and transition from one place to another. And especially me having 3 children. There was a lot of text messages asking people, where do you get this? Or where do you get that? How are you doing? Especially during COVID, we can't go see each other, but just kind of encouraging one another and helping us, okay, we can do this. Like, we can make it through. I mean, the whole world was going through it. But it also was another level or another layer to, I guess, like an onion of some stressors moving here.
Especially, I guess, also to ask about schools or things like that. It's not easy. I can imagine this because even us, like living here, we do ask a lot about which one is better, which one is safer, which one, etc. So let alone people who know nothing about the place and they have to ask native people here and like Gerbians, where exactly do you go, where do you put your kids, etc., etc. So it's not that easy to know which nursery or etc. So I think that part was hard, right, to adjust with.
It was. We decided, a lot of families who move here get to decide, do they want their kids to do online school? Do they want to do homeschool? Do they want local school? And I know every family is different. And for our family, we thought, okay, we want our children to learn and love Tunisians. We want them to, be part of community and meet new friends and even speak Tunsi. We don't want them just speak American English. Yeah. And so we thought, okay, we move in May. They have a little bit of time to transition and learn some Arabic.
Yeah.
And in September, we decided to put our kids a grade under where they would be in American school so that they can learn both Tunsi and all the other
French,
But we asked some friends of ours, where did they go to school, how to deal with like the system or what to do within the system. How do we talk to the teachers, because we didn't have Tunsi right away.
That's also another struggle.
So yes, definitely that. But in the beginning, we decided we really want our kids to be part of the community.
Yeah, so that made it so much easier to like have friends and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the same thing that we're talking about right now, what are the differences you faced? Like no matter what, culture, food, people, language, all of that.
Uh-huh.
What are the main, let's say, 3 points that really made you struggle?
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily say struggle, but I think a challenge was spicy food.
Oh. But Asian people do eat spicy food. Like you have
depends where they're from. I'm 5th generation, so my family came 200 years ago to America. They immigrated a long time ago. Depending on where and what types of friends and circles you have, you will have spicy or not. So my children, especially in Morocco, were not used to spicy food. But I do remember we had a friend who shared with us that her son would, when they moved here, would have like a big glass of water or milk and their food. And so my kids were determined to start to like spicy food.
Oh, wow.
They loved it, but it was still spicy.
Yeah.
So they would drink a lot of water and then eat a little bit of food. Drink a lot of water. And they're like, oh, this is so good. But you can tell it's...
it hurts.
Yeah. But now I think, okay, we look back and we kind of laugh about it. But now my family kind of prefers Tunisian food over other types of foods, which is very interesting. For example, so yesterday I made couscous with stuffed peppers, and my kids were so happy. And some people would think otherwise, like, oh, why would she make Tunisian food when it's just her family and no like Tunisian guests at that time? But when we go to America or when we go different places, I must bring harissa arabi. And 3 weeks ago, I made harissa arabi in my house because I was like, I need to learn I need to make this, especially because my family always has harissa with us. Even if I make like Chinese food or American food, like Italian food, Mexican food, usually I'll have somebody say, hey, where's the harissa? I need to have it spicy. Okay, I'll go get some. If I don't have any in my house, there's a problem.
Wow, okay, so you don't buy it anymore? Or you buy it sometimes and you make it sometimes?
I have a friend who makes it really well. And because she makes it so well, I just buy it from her. Yeah. But a few weeks ago, I decided I'm going to make a couple kilos of harissa arabi, and then we'll see how long it lasts.
That's amazing, actually. I myself don't know how to do it. Like, I know, like, the big picture, but I've never tried it before. And I always feel like it's gonna hurt while being cooked. I don't know why. Probably, like, the smell of...
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing may a little bit... bother me, because I love spicy food, but it really hurts my stomach. So it's a love-hate relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a very toxic relationship, but
Me too.
wow.
So I have to be careful also.
Yes.
I love Tunisian food, so I'll eat it. I'm like, oh, this is so worth it. But then the next day,
Regret
I'm
it
like,
later.
uh-oh. So if I have to run or if I'm doing sports the next day, I have to make sure I don't have too much spicy.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt and then it's
Yeah.
gonna be painful. I know. Did you face? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked to Julia last time because I feel like it's important. How did you adjust with the language at first? Because, okay, as I have said before,
Yes.
we youngsters, we do talk English, so I don't think you had any problem with us. But with elderly people, like when you go shopping or when you go to ask about a direction or something, it's not that easy to always find people who
Yes.
talk English. So
Yes.
how did you do at first?
Oh boy. Most of my friends don't speak English, which was hard.
Yeah.
We did have Moroccan Arabic when we came,
Oh, okay.
but it's
not
that
the same.
different.
It's not the
And
same.
so when we spoke, people would look at us like, what?
So confused.
I can't understand.
I
I'd
don't
use
understand.
instead of like mitak, I would say dialik,
Mhm.
or
Yes.
like instead of bezef. So we would say bezef instead of barsha,
Yes. So
like that.
people would be
And
like,
so people would
confused.
look at us like, what is she saying?
They look something, they talk something else. So
Yes, and I don't know French as well.
Yes.
And because I am who I am, I love people. I love sitting with people. One of the things that I most love to do is sit and listen to women and their lives. I'm a therapist.
I was gonna
so
say that.
That's just
your
in
job.
my nature. And so it was hard for me. I think that was my motivation of I need to learn Arabic
Yeah.
so that I can talk. Not Fusha, but Tunsi.
Yeah, Tunisia.
And being a mom of 3 and learning language at the same time is hard because it's not myself focused on language, but I'm focused on language. I have my children. I have my responsibilities at home, making sure that everything is okay.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit, we did some online lessons, but sometimes the internet would go out or you can't see the expression of the teacher. And so sometimes it was not necessarily worth me doing a language lesson at that time. But I can say that everything was worth it.
Yeah.
And I know that speaking and listening is not just 100% communication, but it's also how we speak through our body as well and our expressions. And so learning some of that too.
It made it easier.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because when we say wait with our hand here, in Morocco, we do the same thing and it means like shweya.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And like,
So even the body language differs.
yeah, but the same hand motions.
Wow. I guess for me, for example, I don't understand Moroccan so much. I feel like it's a hard language, dialect, let's say, not language. And same for Algerians. I feel like they look alike, but also they don't look alike. And the common point is that I don't get them at all. It's not like Egyptians or Libyans or these kind of countries, probably because we're more exposed to them than Morocco and Algeria. But I don't know, sometimes they say that we have common things with Moroccans, like in our cooking, probably in our desserts or talking.
Yes.
They say that, but I still cannot understand at all Moroccans, especially if they talk fast.
They do speak fast.
Yeah, they do speak fast, and like I have a friend that I know. She always talks slowly so that we can get her. Otherwise, it's gonna be a real issue. So I think it happened like the same thing with you, and probably it's worse because you know nothing about the language, which is way harder. So I guess it happened the same thing with your kids, right? So when they came here to adjust with school and everything, how did they do with Tunsi? Because honestly, that's something.
They did way better than me.
Oh, yeah, because they are kids.
Yes,
It's
they're
way...
kids and they were exposed to it. I know it was a process and it was a slow process for all of us, partially because COVID hit halfway into the school year.
Yes.
I'm glad that we put our older two a grade lower to start with so that it didn't add another stressor to their lives. Yeah, I think they know Tunsi and Fusha and can get by with both. And I would say even their fluency now is way better than mine.
Okay.
And their inflection is Jerbees. Like it's
Yeah.
not like American.
Yeah.
Like when I speak Tunsi, I know that I'm speaking American Tunsi. And then when they speak, I'm like, oh, I want to learn like that. But I know that I'll always have a little bit of American in me.
I guess for old people, it's way harder than kids. It's not that easy. And I guess it's the same thing for us. If you learn English from a very young age, it's way easier to have an accent or talk fluently more than when you learn it when you're an old person. Like, I mean, like, let's say plus 20 years.
Yes.
It's not that easy. And I guess it's also about the brain and everything.
Yes.
It's slower and, you know, the practice and all the scientific things. But I remember I heard like your kids talking, and actually, yes, they talk very fluently, like Tunsi and Jerby, which is amazing. Honestly, I probably if I see them without you, if I see them without you, I may not recognize they're not Tunisians. Because even like physically, they're not like too different. So they have that, I don't know, that part of them feels so Gerbian.
Okay.
So it's really great. I guess it's really great for them, and even for you, because at the end of the day you can learn from them, because probably they're more exposed to language due to school and friends.
Yes.
It's not the same thing.
Yes.
But you guys can always help each other at home, and
Yes.
it's amazing. So
Yes.
Okay, so this is how you adjusted to the language. Tell me about the food now. Have you asked someone about the recipes, or you have?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so was YouTube your friend, or you had like your friends
Yeah.
helping you probably?
Yeah. I have a few people that I go to. I have some neighbors. I have a neighbor that I would consider like my Tunisian mom.
Okay.
So I learn culture from her. I'll go to her and ask her like, oh, I would like to cook this. How would you make this? Like stuffed squid with couscous. So I'll go in the winter. I'm like, I forgot how to make this. Can you remind me how? And she's so gracious and she's so sweet. I love her. And then I have other friends too that I'll call up and say, I'm not sure if I got this recipe correct. Can you kind of walk me through? And I know it's like a cup of this or a scoop of this, and like, okay. And then I'll taste it and kind of adjust to what it is. But I do have my go-to people with culture and with food. My children love the most like shurba and kusiksi and macaroni bil salsa.
Oh, okay.
And so they love those three. And sometimes we'll do like marga with something or like aja, and
it's
everybody's happy.
Favorite. I don't know why. God knows, I keep asking this question to everyone. Why aja is your best dish? Meanwhile, it's the easiest and not very generous. Like for us, at least, we don't cook it for like our guests or something because it's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel representable. But whenever, like for Julia, for example, she told me, make me aja and I'll be the happiest person. I'm like,
it's simple.
It's simple, It doesn't take long. It doesn't cost you a lot. It doesn't take a lot from your time. And it doesn't feel like a real dish for some reason. I feel like it needs something else. You cannot just eat it by itself. So I feel like everyone loves couscous and aja for some reason, like for foreigners.
Yes.
I feel like probably because it's something new that you don't have it there at all, and you've never been exposed to. So it feels like something special, you know?
Yes.
But when it comes to the rest, like everyone knows pasta or knows salads, or
Uh-huh.
it's true that Tunisians have different salads from like
Yes.
American normal salad. But still, I guess the taste of couscous and the rest are kind of way different than just a
Yes.
new salad or something.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's amazing to know.
One of my children, if I made shorba every day, she would be so happy. And so when it's Ramadan,
Yeah.
it's like, yes, we get to have shorba. We get to have brik. Well, she likes
Oh,
both.
and brie.
And if they have that together. Yesterday, one of my daughters made brik.
Good.
And because she heard that I was making kusiksi. And she's like, are we going to have brik? I'm like, no, because I don't feel like making more food.
Yeah.
She's like, can I make it? Okay, you can make it if you really want to. And it was good.
Nice.
But they love that. And slata mishwiya is one of my other child's favorite. And so if I make a huge batch, we'll freeze some so we could have some for another day.
Yeah, that's also a good thing to do, especially for a lot of women who work and they don't find time like to cook or something. I have always heard about batch cooking, but I feel like it's not only for women who work. I feel like even a housewife can do that because it will make her life way easier and way faster.
Yes.
So it's amazing. You have free time. You can cut everything. You can put everything in the refrigerator. It's beautiful, the fact that it's a common point where foreigners always love our food. I see people even on YouTube or TikTok or like tourists coming here.
Yes.
They always mention the food. They always do that. And I feel like the pride, you know, the pride of having something to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Which is food. So
when we go to America, I usually bring a lot of the ingredients to make kusiksi or macaron salsa or anything. So we'll have our big jars of harissa, but also even all the spices I'll take with me too. And a lot of people love it. And some people will ask me, oh, are you going to bring harissa next time you come? And they love it. So I'll bring a huge thing and then divide it amongst different people. If they like spicy, they'll like harissa.
Yeah.
And there are some places where they'll sell harissa, but it's like American harissa, which is not Tunisian.
The same thing.
And so we've tasted it before. I'm like, oh, what is this? This is not Tunisian.
Okay. It feels like a sauce or something.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great to know. So what made you love living here? So now we talked about like people and food and language and everything. What made you love staying here? For example, why are you staying here till this day? And you didn't thought of like going back to America or going back to Morocco or any other country.
So there are two things that I would say are the top two: the people and Jerba being Jerba. I know that kind of doesn't make sense. Okay, so for the people, I love the people so much. They're very hospitable, and I consider a lot of Tunisians like my family. So if I'll tell my kids, hey kids, we're gonna go see Tata so-and-so today, like, yay! And then we go there and my friend will make them their favorite dish. And most of my friends know what their favorite dish is. Or I'll have one of my friends, she'll say, guess what? I made your daughter's shorba today. I know she really likes it, so come over and pick it up. And in some ways, just knowing that we think about each other and we care for each other, it's not individualized. It's more like a family community atmosphere. So, for example, us being where we live, people have asked, oh, why don't you move to another house? Or people just ask, like, why don't you buy a house? And for us, we don't even think about that because we love our neighborhood. We love where we live. We love the different families that are around. And
you got used to them already.
So even the thought to move away from our small community, we wouldn't
change it.
Want to. And even just the way that people love on each other, I think that's something that we really like, and that's something I want my kids to learn as well. Yes, in America there are people like that, but I think the
majority isn't.
yes, it's more individualism.
This is something I have heard a lot from foreigners. And I have already been taught that when I was in college, since I have studied like American and British civilization and literature.
Okay.
So we have talked a lot about society and individualism, capitalism, all that, but it's all theory, you know?
Yes.
But when you get to see someone who's really coming from there and they get to confirm to you that what you have seen and been taught is all correct, I feel afraid. I actually feel afraid because the thought of it scares me, like not being close to my family, not being close to my friends, thinking only about myself, being selfish, thinking about money, you know, just my future, myself. I'm like, whoa. So, you know, growing up here, as you have said, we have learned a lot about community and family and like helping each other. And you'll always find someone to help you. You'll never be alone. They even pick the phone to call you if they're away or you're away. And I have seen that even on TikToks, like a lot of Americans and Europeans, they talk a lot about how they're not close to their surroundings, how much it's depressing, how much it's all of that. And a lot of Tunisians came back to Tunisia because they couldn't adjust with society. So that really scared me for a second because the thought of it is a bit weird. I think it's the same thing. Probably you have the same idea, like you have been in an individualistic place and then you came here and you found out that people here are like too warm together and too close to each other. So it's also different. So it's the same thing, just it's the opposite.
Yes.
But I think you coming here is way better than us probably going there because it's gonna feel like the cultural shock of being alone.
Yes.
But you here, it's the opposite. You find people to help you, people to talk to you, people asking about you, as you have said, and cook you things that you like and your kids like. So the difference is clear, I guess, and it's like you can feel it. So as you have said, what made you love living here is the people, and you said another thing.
Oh,
you
yes,
said two things.
Jerba. I just love walking outside of my house and going down the street, going to the Corniche, and just watching nature in front of me. So sometimes I like to watch the birds. There's flamingos now. And, like I could just, for me, I feel like I can see like the nature or what God has made and has given us. I love the beach.
And it's close to you.
Yes, yes. And so even in the summer, we love the beach. We love going to weddings, and even the weddings are outside. I love the natural part of that and the beauty of the culture in Jerba. There are some places where everything is inside or it's a big city and you don't necessarily see as much of that nature, but Jerba is Jerba, and I love how everything is close. We laugh because we say that Maydoun is far. Maydoun is maybe like 20 minutes away.
20 minutes,
And if we're in America, 20 minutes is close.
Yes.
And usually when I used to work, I would drive at least an hour to my different clients. And that was a gracious day. Some days I would drive 3 hours.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking, why do I complain about going 20 minutes away? It's actually really close. But in relation to everything, Jerba itself is very close.
Yeah, true. I guess everything is close, and we don't have a lot of means of transportation. For example, like Tunis, the capital, they have the train and everything, but here we only have taxis or buses, and that's it. And that shows how small it is. Like you can have a whole tour in Jerba just by staying in the bus, and it will just you'll have a tour for the whole island, and you'll see all the places and just go back to your house, and 5 minutes walking from the bus station. It's like the case here for my house. I really love it. Sometimes people may find this strange, but sometimes I feel so bored and I don't since I don't have a car or something, so I always go. I tend to go to when I was a little bit younger than this, to be honest, with my mom and sometimes by myself. I go by the bus and go to places that I don't know. I don't stay away from the bus, but at least I go and see the places that I cannot go to because they are far away from my house and I don't have a car to see. And I feel like a whole day was spent in the bus, watching the sunset, watching the sunrise, going places,
Yes.
and nobody talks to you, nobody just, I don't know, like bother you or something. So I feel like I can have a whole day going by the bus, seeing places in my hometown, in my island,
Yes.
and yeah, for almost free. It's like, I don't know, 1 dinar, 2 dinars.
Yes.
It's nothing. And I'm here like, yeah, I've had a good day. So it's not the same in Tunis. Like, you cannot go by one bus and have a tour along the whole capital. It doesn't happen. So this is one of the things I guess that I like here is like how easy it is to go to places, and they're like too close. So probably I think here in Homtsuk, like one of the places that I love is the beach and like Galera and all of that, and they are 30 minutes from Homtsuk.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess this is what I say far. It's like the 30 minutes is far. I feel it. Okay, so the furthest place from Homtsuk is, I guess, 30 minutes away or 45 minutes away. So it's nothing when you think about it. But for someone who has a car, they don't feel it. For me, I do feel it because I don't have a car. But with the bus, it's still easy access, let's say. So yeah, I totally like agree with you with the fact that everything is like close and nature is everywhere, like palm trees, olive trees, the beach, the corniche, as you have said. Everything is like there. You always see it.
Yes.
So you're always exposed to nature. You're always exposed to a green place, grass, whatever. But at the same time, I think in the USA you have these places, but probably they are far, like the beach or
Further
something.
away. Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess you have a lot of palm trees and grass, like
In California,
a lot of gardens.
yes.
So at least you have that part, and probably it's similar to here. Probably you have more there, or do we have more?
Different types of palm trees.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
And we have grass.
But do you think we have more palm trees here than you? Of course, it depends on the space.
That's
because
a good
like
question.
it's like California is larger than Java, but let's say at least when you walk or when you go or drive, do you tend to see a lot of palm trees here or there or both?
I would say both. The palm trees in California are very tall.
Yeah.
But they also don't have fruit in them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the difference would be.
Yeah. So would you change anything from your experience here, from coming?
Good question. I think if I could change anything, is if COVID didn't happen. It would have been
That would
easier,
be everybody
right?
else's wishes. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would change anything. I think any challenge that we have gone through actually has helped us learn with culture or has helped us learn with acclimating, transitioning. There's words that I've said wrong, or even if I just change like a small
alphabet
letter, then the whole word is something completely different. And so I think it's good like to laugh at myself or to be like, okay, now I understand what word I said and that it was wrong. I know
same for English.
Yeah.
Sometimes you change just the pronunciation, or you change like one alphabet, and my God, it's a whole different thing.
Yes.
So
and there's some words here that I try not to say because I know if I say it wrong, it'll mean something that's not okay.
I
I think sometimes I can be more reserved
and be shy to start, like, to try something new or to say something if I don't know if it's correct. So I think maybe if I was to change anything, maybe be a little bolder with like my language or even trying something new. I don't think I would otherwise change anything. I think that's something I should ask my husband. What would have been something that we would change if we could go back?
Yeah. And if you go back, would you change your opinion about coming here?
No.
Would you choose another country or stay in America or?
I can't see anything different than what it is now.
Okay.
We have asked our kids, because they're older, like, hey, what do you think about if you were to go back to America? Like,
Yeah.
no way. So
they want it just for a vacation and that's
yeah, and not too long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the hard part. We call children who live overseas TCKs, third culture kids.
Yeah.
And so when they go back to their passport country, they realize how different they are from where their parents grew up.
Yeah.
And even friends, like my girls have friends here and look forward to it. Usually, so if we go back to America to see my family, we love it and we miss it. We miss a lot of things about our family. And I have nieces and a nephew that are small.
That's hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And we miss all those stages.
Yeah.
But I think otherwise, my kids don't want to miss out on weddings. Like this past summer, they knew they were missing out on weddings. They're happy they got to go to one of their auntie's weddings here because we came in time. They know that if we are there, they miss things here in Jerba. But then if they are here, they miss things over in America as well.
Of course, yeah.
So there's this kind of like, we want to be in two places at once. Yeah.
I have seen this before about people actually who are from a place and they live in another place, which is, I guess mostly now people are living this. A lot of people are not living in their like native country. So I feel like, as they always say, you always feel like you never know where home is, because if you are here, you miss there, and if you're there, you miss here. And sometimes you never know where you belong exactly, because your childhood was in a place, or adulthood is in another place. You miss your family, but at the same time, you feel like you have your own family here. So that battle is not the greatest to live. But I see a lot of people living that, whether because of their work or because they got married and they went with their partner, or they went to study or work. So I don't see a lot of people staying in their countries lately. So I feel like it's a common shared feeling and thought that people don't feel alone, because they always see that other people are suffering as well. So it's like a common thing to talk about. And this is why I told you, if you go back in time, would you come back here or not? Because I know that leaving the family is probably the hardest part. It's way harder than even adjusting to your whole new life. Just being far away from your family and like hours and hours away, it is not easy. Yeah. Especially in weddings or, you know, in any other event, whether it's good or bad. It feels... You know, you feel like you're heartbroken somehow. As you have said, you're missing a lot there, and they are also missing things here, because at the end of the day, you're also their kid and you have kids, so they also miss your kids and they miss you. So it's the same thing. It's it's a very bad circle, to be honest. But I feel like it's kind of mandatory to go through that. And you always have sacrifices, because if you stay there, you also have sacrifices, like as you have said, you always wanted to go abroad. You didn't want to stay there. So you always have the regret of not leaving and trying something else. You'll always say, what if? But now here, you surely are happy with your condition here, but at the same time, you always say, but I do miss my family. So that's really hard to go through, which I understand, because my siblings live abroad and I don't get to see them often. And when I go to visit them, I sometimes miss here as well. So it's kind of a controversial feeling.
Sure.
But yeah, so just to end up our beautiful episode, one last word for the people listening, whether they are Americans or they are Arabs.
I think any place that you go to has its challenges and its joys. Every culture has its beauty and it has its areas that are
Flaws, yeah,
hard and maybe needs to have redemption or needs to change.
yeah,
But if people are moving, for them to see the blessings of where they are, I would not change my life and going backwards and say, I want to stay in America. We love it here and we love how our life is now. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. Definitely
of
not
course.
perfect.
Yeah.
But even to embrace like the people, the culture, look around, see what's beautiful about the culture, because it's very easy for us to be negative, like, oh,
Yeah.
my life is like this, or this is awful, I need to go back. But if we don't give chances to whatever place that we're in, we're never going to like it. And I think even for us to like look at, oh, this is a beautiful place that God has made. I love it. And so, yes, to the Tunisians out there, I love your blood and it's awesome. For America, I still love America and I miss America.
For
I
sure,
miss
yeah.
like all like talking to my family, and even right now like we have Christmas coming up, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss that with family. But at the same time, I'm very grateful for where we're at.
That's always nice to hear, Stephanie. I am happy that you like living here, but you also miss there. I'm sorry for that. Sometimes you always have to make huge choices and life-changing decisions in life that aren't like that easy. But we gotta assume what we decided and live it to the fullest. As you have said, it's always easy to see the negative side from anything you do in life, but at the same time, you always have many positive stuff that you have to look for in order to adjust to life and to whether for Arabs going to America or Americans coming to Arab countries. For sure, it's not gonna be easy. Like the cultural shock, for sure, it's always there, but you will sooner or later adjust to what you're going to do and the routine and everything. So it will be much easier for everyone. If anyone is listening and going abroad or coming to Tunisia, no matter where the region exactly, Jerba or any other like region, always know that it's gonna be okay after a few months. This is one of the things why I get to bring people to talk, just to assure you that it's true that it's hard at first, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be okay. As Stephanie said, there are like flaws and there are good things at the same time. So try to see the good side of things, and no matter where you are or where you're going, make sure to live the best of it. Let's say, if you agree, to live life to the fullest and enjoy the people, the culture, the food, whatever, to try and, expose yourself to other things that you didn't know before or probably you've heard of and you've never experienced like practically. So thank you one more time, Stephanie, for being here. I really appreciate sharing your experience with people.
Yeah, thanks
And-
for having me.
For sure. And I hope you get to enjoy your holiday here, even if it's far away from people,
Will do.
from people you know and your family. And we'll surely wish you the best, and with your family as well. Probably we can see you in another episode about something else. And yeah, that's it. Have a good day, and have a good day, everyone. I don't know if it's night or a day where you're listening now, but enjoy your days and happy holidays to whoever's celebrating Christmas coming, and Christmas, and not only Christmas now, we're almost ending
New
2024. Yeah. Which is crazy because this year has gone like really fast that I don't even remember what happened. throughout all these 12 months. So yeah, happy holidays everyone, and see you soon.